Her name is Tatelicious Karigambe. She is an activist and the leader of Tatenda movement. So the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Joanna, for a humbling introduction. Hello, everyone, and I'm humbled to be here in midst of a lovely audience, beautiful ladies and gentlemen who are in the midst, and I'm accompanied by the Vice President of Tatenda Movement also, and he's my husband, Richard. And today I'm not going to talk about my life. I've done it for over 1 year when I came to Sweden last year. I've realized that when I talk about my life as a transgender woman, as HIV positive woman, as a black woman, a lot of people feel sympathy for me. But really, it's no longer about feeling sympathy for each other, but we have to get up and do something so that we close this gap as women who are HIV positive. So my speech is going to be entitled, Finding Peace from the Broken Pieces. In the midst, I see my black sisters. How are you over there? I see you. And my beautiful friend, Lynn, I see you, baby. How are you doing? A lot of people in Sweden are still stigmatized by the HIV pandemic. It's different from where I come from in Zimbabwe. These issues are now being nationalized in television, in media, in papers. But when I came to Sweden last year, all I could see in SVT1, SVT2, Aktuelt are the issues which are happening in other countries. And if it's in Sweden, okay, there have been an accident and there have been a shooting somewhere. But there is no sensitivity of HIV issues. Then I asked myself, does it mean that us immigrants are the ones who are coming with HIV to Sweden, and the Swedes are not living with the stigma or the HIV pandemic? Then I spoke with one Swedish lady, and she told me that, Tatelicious, to tell you the truth, Swedes, we also have this pandemic, but we are afraid to come out because of the judging which is out there. And then I struck a balance to say what really needs to be done, because when we are talking about the HIV virus or the AIDS, it's coming from two sides. There is another part of people who say HIV comes with immigrants. Oh, Africa, Ebola, HIV. And we are also forgetting that there are immigrants who come here in Sweden, HIV negative, and they get the virus in Sweden. It's something which is a hullabaloo which is going round. So as I was preparing my speech, I came out with a couple of points, how we should close the gap whilst we are trying to gather the pieces. It's to tell you the truth, as a human rights activist, as a human rights lawyer, I feel like in Sweden, it's still pieces when we are talking about HIV and AIDS. SVT1, I've never seen any program. I only, there was, when I was speaking with my husband, there used to be a Froga Ule program a long time ago. Then I say, we need those programs, but we need them integrated with HIV. Because it's not only about us who are infected, but we who are infected, we also want to partake the education to our children, to the future generation, to even medical practitioners. The health system is, sometimes I want to say they are really fucked up because they don't know our experiences. They just think that we live in the north, in Hanusand, and what happens in Hanusand? When I go to collect my medication, are you okay? Do you feel any pain? No. How is the medication? Okay, your blood samples will be checked in 3 months. That's it. They are only looking at controlling the virus. They are not looking at my psychological, emotional, that, psychotherapy, which I need as an HIV infected person. Then I said, so is the Riksdag, the government of Sweden doing enough justice for everyone, including Swedes and us immigrants? Are we being justified by the health system? Then the answer to this was no. And who are we? Who is to blame? Then I pointed. One hand was pointing to the health system, but the other, fingers were pointing to myself. Then totally I chose to say the blame is upon me. Because when you point to say, okay, I blame the government, it's only one finger and the other fingers are pointing at me like this. So I said, so what do we need to do? Do we need to keep on writing memos, writing papers, writing documentaries, which the government said, okay, we funded the money, they did it, then they shelve it? Or do we need to stand out in the government where they are having meetings and disrupt their own organograms so that they hear us? We need to invite the media. The media is a very powerful tool. I know in Sweden we have a problem of talking a political correct issue. It should be political correct for it to be televised. But we cannot rely on those channels which are politicizing everything. Let's get out in our closets and start something new. Yes, I know in Sweden it's the most liberal country in the world, which means organizations like Positive Group now can come together with Tatenda movement, and we can create our own channel also, which can start to be broadcasted on the websites or on the TV channels. Why not? We need to do this because it's up to us human rights activists to stand out to these politicians so that they change the politics behind the issues of HIV and AIDS. So the point number one which I want to talk about is, how do we do it? Should we just say Positive Group should stand out? Or should we say RFSO should stand, just as RFSO and do their own things, and us as Tatenda movement, we do our own things in Hanesand? That's not it. We have to build a coalition between organizations which have the same mandate to say, what is the ultimatum objective? What do we want to come out at the end? We want to be heard. We want to be prioritized. And we want the government to take action. Because to tell you the truth, we'll do this for 20, I've been doing this for more than 15 years. And we can sit in the rooms like this, discuss our stories. But what is being done on the higher level is very important. Because we can keep on applying for money, doing this project, information dissemination, but at the end of the day, our cause will be effortless because we wasted our time. So coalition, let's start coalition. I understand my sister at the back, she also have a beautiful organization. We need you, my sister. Let's build those organizations and come together as one and speak. Then number two was, how do we do our presentations? How do we formulate the board? I'm so tired. Tatenda movement, Tatenda, the word Tatenda means thank you. We formed the organization last year in 2016 when I came to Sweden, because my life in SFE was totally a hullabaloo. It was disaster. Because when other immigrants learned that I was transgender, I was born a man and I'm HIV positive, they didn't want to sit close to me. They thought I was a rapist. They thought I was a pedophile. So, when you come from other countries, they don't, realize that people like me are just also human beings. So that's why we then formulated an organization which says, as an immigrant, when you come out from your country and say, I'm going to Sweden to live because the country provides peace, tranquility, and your human rights as a person, you have to respect the law. In Sweden, the HBTQ is part of the law. It's not that you have to love or you have to like or whatever, but you have to respect it because the law says that. So Tatenda movement now started shaking up everyone. When I talk about every immigrants in Vasta Norland, we were just shaking them up to say, okay, we've had that, you like sex too much and you are sexually abusing women, because when you came to Sweden, you heard that people start having sex at a very young age. So you are now blaming and abusing the system to say if you rape a woman and if the police asks you how you do it. The other question from other boys who come from other country, I cannot mention the country, but their reason, they said, in our country we don't value women. Women are like cell phones. So they were protected by their lawyer to say, okay, they didn't know how the Swedish government functioned. So our organization is also impacting knowledge to them to say, hey brother, when you go out in a pub, when you go out in a beer hall, yes, you need sex, but it has to be agreed upon. In Sweden, we don't rape. And if we rape, people like me will take you down. So that's what we are doing as the Tatenda movement. And one of the hullabaloo was that there's a line which is drawn in the middle. We have organizations who just like to include leadership as Swedes. They will use people like us, black people, to be their, taking ideas, formulating ideas. That's where I'm getting to my point now. Let's stop that. Let's also involve these immigrants in leadership roles. Let them be board members also. Let them run for office also, because it's about a community. It's not about to say, where do you come from? Okay, you're black, so okay, you have to just, go with Tatenda movement. All right, okay, if you want, let's come to the Swedish organization. And also the other issue about us immigrants, let's not be afraid. Because we're already in Sweden, hey? I've heard some of the people, oh, Tatelicious, Swedish people are racist. My dear, I'm married to a Swedish man. If he was a racist, I could have put him on the list of my people who were suitable candidates. So stop telling me about racism. Because yes, every community has people who are extremists. But let's not judge upon a small percentage. Because yes, I've been in Sweden, I've known, yes, we have heard about the Gothenburg troops, Nazis who are doing whatever. It's a small number of people. Multitudes love immigrants. Those things. So if we start telling them that, oh please, in positive group now, we heard that you are now voting, okay, Thomas has been there for more than 15 years. Thomas, I see you somewhere. We need to bring also an immigrant to be the president of, the positive. That's how the dynamics function when we involve each other. Because this coalition can never be had when there's only one part. Even in our organization as Tatenda Movement, I could have chosen to say I would need in the board to have ladies from Burundi, from Congo, from Rwanda. But I made it to be a cosmopolitanism, board. There is a Swede, there is a Zimbabwean, there is someone from Colombia, someone from Eritrea. It's a mixed version. So that, because Sweden, as everyone knows, Sweden is a cosmopolitan country. It involves everyone, and there is no that extremist. So we have to start and run for leadership and prove that we are people who want change. And the last point, before I open for questions, is let's get up and take action. That's what we need to do. Let's not make excuses. Yes, we haven't get any money, any donations, but we can still via Svenska Kyrkan last August when we did our Pride Festival in Härnösand. It was very supportive. We didn't have any money in Tatenda movement because the commune didn't believe in us. They said, oh, your organization is still new and you think you can have a Pride Festival. It's not viable. What? They were just giving silly reasons. Then we went to Svenska Kyrkan. I personally am not a Christian, I'm an atheist. But I said, Swedish church, you are also known about creating change in a community. We need you so that you can help us raise our LGBTQ flag. And they did it. They sponsored us with more than 50,000 crown, and also they gave accommodation and shelter to people who came, immigrants. Naomi was also there at the Pride Festival. I'm happy to see you, baby. You know, it's one of the issues which we are doing as a community. So let's start moving. Let's start acting. When Joanna told me that, Tatelicious, we need you to talk, I told her I cannot longer talk about my personal life because it's not important. What is important is, what do we need to do to close the gap? That is what is important. We need to have a coalition. We need to start integrating people in the board to have every taste of people, be it Swede, be it immigrant, be it anyone. Then the third one, we need to start acting. Let's shake them up. Let's shake these political parties, especially those ones who believe in us. Be it Social Democrat, be it Milio Party, or I don't know, but let's just do something. If we do something, yes, we're going to be controversial. Like myself, me, I talk as it is. They know, they think Tatelicious is a racist. Most of the immigrants in the north, they call me a racist because I talk the truth. You cannot just pack your bag from your country and say, I'm going to rape women in Sweden. And women who are being raped, they are not only Swede. They are also immigrants like us. I went to Gotland last year, and a Swedish woman in a wheelchair was gang raped by 5 brothers of mine. 5, when I say brothers, I'm talking about immigrants. And the immigrants were justified because they said, we didn't know that in Sweden women are valued. We didn't know the role. And who are to blame? Organizations like us. We are not doing our job. We need to call a spade, and what bad should stop. Every wrong should stop. Me, I always say, last year when I went to Dalarna, one of the commune leaders says, so Tatelicious, are you not afraid to be hated by your brothers and sisters? Then I said, why? I don't care about that. Because if I had remained in Zimbabwe, my life would be finished. My book would be finished. It's a country like Sweden which made me relive my life. So I should pay homage. I should be respectful to Sweden. And what do I need to do when I say paying homage to Sweden? Is to do what is right. And I cannot sit and say, okay, my brothers from this country just went into the club and touched the rumpa. And I said, it's okay. You can touch rumpa, it's Sweden. No, we don't do that. I feel threatened because if it was my sister who is being done that, I stand as a black woman to say, stop it. But now as human rights activists, we have to cover this. Because when someone would say, okay, so what does it have to do with HIV? A lot of people are in the closet when we talk about HIV. They are afraid to come out. If you sit down with everyone, they have a story behind HIV. It's either their mother is infected or they've got a friend who they lost through AIDS. But we are failing to get their attention because we are assuming everything is correct. So ladies and gentlemen, it is our light that most frightens us. If we just stand up, build a coalition, include everyone in our decision-making processes and take action, I believe change will come to Sweden. I thank you for this time. Thank you so much.
You're very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a very good, informative session here in Stockholm on the 13th of October 2017. The event which was organized by Positive Gruppen, all in all bringing women together, talking about HIV and AIDS issues. And what we have really learned about this session is that women have to get up and do something. We heard from all discussions which the speakers brought up on the table. There was
three syntheses which came out. We have to have a task force, we have to have a coalition which changes the primitive cognizance of saying a woman should take heed of HIV and AIDS issues. And also talking about what needs to be done is to put everyone in the leadership roles, immigrants, Swedes coming together as one. And also we talked about the issues to say, let's get into action, let's build partnership, coalitions, so that everything moves on. So moving forward, let's keep women involved, because it has been a patriarchal issue everywhere. Men taking the leadership roles, but we now need women to take the roles. From us, Tatenda Movement, we give you news when it happens. Hopefully, every time, just give us and shout out on our email, tatendamovement@gmail.com, so that we come and cover your stories and give it to the world. It's Tatelicious Karigambe, and bye for now.